Hi, this is Mary Greendale, and it's campaign season. Candidates are starting to be interviewed, and I want you to understand that when I interview these candidates, I am asking each candidate for an office the same questions. They get the questions in advance, they can prepare, and then we go through them. I have found this to be a good way to get a sense of how people respond to the questions in substance, and also how they differ between one candidate to another. The other thing, for candidates that are not opposed, I do not do interviews, but if they are brand new to town government, I do. And I do so because I believe that people have the right to know who's running their town government. And so we meet them, we talk to them, and we ask them a series of questions that's appropriate for their town office. So you will be able to watch these interviews at your leisure, and keep an eye out for them, and let's get going. This is Mary Greendale with Just Thinking. We're going to be moving on to another interview, this time with Paul Faramelli, and Paul is running for the planning board. So let's move over to you, Paul, and say hi and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I like your backdrop.
Oh, thank you. Would anyone believe I'm standing in front of town hall? Anyway.
You're not blowing around enough, because I just almost lost the front door coming in here. So
I know it's pretty windy today.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank, I've just thanked you. I'd like to thank the viewers for viewing and HCAT for hosting this. I'm Paul Faramelli. I'm not a politician. I'm a concerned citizen. I'm a 20-year resident of Holliston. I live on Kim Place. I'm married with 2 adult sons. I work in high tech as a software engineer. And in the late 80s, I had my own business, and I'm a common sense problem solver. And that's pretty much sums up who I am.
Okay. So why the planning board?
It is now or never is how I look at it. For me, 555 Hopping Brook became a real wake-up call. Like many of the residents attending the planning board meetings, we've grown frustrated. We feel like some of the right questions aren't being asked, and that we're not getting the due consideration that we're due. So I look at it that from my standpoint, I want to preserve the town character. I like the small town feel, but I want to keep it as state of the art as possible, which is doable without having a monstrosity in town. I want to be an advocate for the residents, and I want to help be part of planning the future of the town.
Okay. You've been following the 555.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. So what do you think of your skills, your education, your background? What do you bring to the planning board that will benefit the planning board?
I real life experience. I have a common sense approach. I'm a big believer in what I call a win-win scenario. All parties involved should feel like they're taking away some sort of victory at the end of the day. And in the case of 555 right now, it doesn't feel that way. But any project, whether it's putting a small building off of High Street or any place else, everyone should feel good about the decision at the end of the day. There might be 1 or 2 people who it kind of bothers ever so slightly, but the whole idea is to come up with a common sense approach that that makes sense for everyone, keeps people happy.
Okay. Describe any concerns you have about the town's land use bylaws or practices, and what changes you might suggest.
Not yet. I just, it was, I guess the nomination papers were due on the 6th. It was on the 4th in the evening when I decided that I should throw my hat in the ring. So I haven't had a chance to read them. I did pull them up and started reviewing them. I think there's 180 some pages in total between the 2 of them. So for me to say something now would be shooting from the hip, and I'm not someone who shoots from the hip. But when I do find a concern, I'm sure I will talk to the other members of the board and the town's attorney before I try to change anything, because there may be good reasons that we're doing something. But, in time, we'll find things I'm sure we'll find something somewhere, but I don't think we'll be changing the world per se, just protecting it.
Okay. How do you feel about the prospect of increasing residential density in areas that are already developed? And I'm speaking, at least as one example, by allowing accessory apartments for people beyond family. They're currently allowed for family.
Well, for me, it would definitely be case by case. As a guiding principle, I would say that I would start out with a no. But for me, I think it was Zig Ziglar, a sales motivator, had the saying, when someone says no, they're not saying NO, they're saying KNOW. You know, I don't know enough to say yes. If the petitioner comes up with a compelling reason to do it and it's good for the town, if we all win, then I'm for it. But off the bat, I'm pretty conservative about that. Let's protect the feel, the look and feel of the town.
Accessory apartments would be especially in old houses, usually they're like mother-in-law kinds of things.
In that case, it would probably be case by case. I'd be there'd be definitely more flexibility than just trying to squeeze buildings in. So.
Yeah, no, it's not about building additional buildings. Although I suppose it could be if you thought about things like the small tiny houses. You know the trend of tiny houses. So I mean that I suppose.
We also don't want monster additions either.
Yeah.
I grew up in Waltham, and there was a dentist whose son bought the house across the street from the office. And it was a smaller ranch house, tore it down, and the house was literally 12 feet from each of the property lines. It was a monstrosity. So I don't want to see something like that happen either. Well,
unfortunately, some of that has already happened, and it's been, proven in other communities. There's really not a lot you can do if somebody wants to do that. You can, there are limits to what any town is able to protect against, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side of the equation you're on. As long as you meet the bylaws, and the bylaws say 10 feet around or whatever. So another question about density, and the reason I'm talking about density is because it is one of the ways that you can increase affordable housing. So that on the same parcel of land that you would normally build only one house, in this situation you would build two houses, not side by side, right together. And so duplexes are allowed in the downtown area, village commercial area, but they're not allowed in the more rural areas, i.e. Those places where you have two acre zoning and that kind of thing. So I was just wondering how you feel about allowing duplexes in some of the more rural areas.
It'd be case by case. I would definitely entertain it. I don't want to rush out because I kind of like keeping the rural area rural. But then again, you can't stop people from building houses if it's their property. So it's something that we'll address case by case. But if it's tastefully done, I don't have a problem with it.
Do you have any thoughts about the role of the planning board in trying to recruit businesses to town to help expand tax base?
I'm all for that. Having had my own business in the past, I have a lot of empathy for business owners, especially small business owners, and I understand the challenges they have. But at the same time, job one is to protect Holliston and the residents. But yes, we need to make it attractive for business to come in. We want to be a destination spot is what we want to be. We want people to want to come here, have a nice environment. People want to work here. People want to live here. We want to keep that balance. So trying to think of what I want to say here. I think I'm done with this.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I had a train of thought that
I fall off my trains all the time.
Yeah, no, my apologies for that.
That's
no,
okay.
I want to foster business. I want them to come in here. I would just want to make sure they do it as a right-sized business. I don't want monstrosities in here. When a company wants to grow, if their proposal doesn't really meet the image of, the vision for the town, we work with them. We find a solution. We find something that works for everyone. So yes, I want to make it attractive to any business that comes here or looks at coming here, and businesses are here, so they stay here and grow here. So yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea of how you might do that? You ever given that any thought?
Not to a great degree. I'd have to say that you have to make the planning board has to be approachable. But when I say approachable, we need to make the process easy in the sense of we don't want people to do undue calisthenics, especially when they're really complying with what we have envisioned for the town. It's the edge cases where they really need the scrutiny to make sure that, we're not harming the town in the long run, because some things will seem like a great idea. It's great to bring in revenue, but at what cost? If every day we wake up and say, oh my God, what did we do? It's not worth any additional revenue to the town.
Okay. Do you have any particular thing that you would like to accomplish on the planning board? Your term is 5 years, and which is a long time, but it does take at least a year, and in the planning board's case, maybe longer, to kind of get up to speed and understand what you can do and what you can't do.
Oh,
So,
I figure from the 100, I think it was like 101, 102 pages for the planning board's bylaws. It's nothing I'm going to be able to do overnight.
Right.
I want to just protect the character of the town. I want Holliston to stay the Holliston that I moved to, and by that I say it has a small town feel. Not quite Mayberry. We're above Mayberry, but it still has that small town charm, and I want to keep that. I want to do what's right for the town as a whole.
this wasn't one of the questions I sent to you, but I am curious, what is it about it that gives a small town feel now? I can't relate because I lived here when it was a small town, and so right now I look at it.
I grew up in Waltham.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Springfield, which was even bigger than Waltham. So,
I remember when I had my first house in Waltham, driving out to Light and Leisure in Milford, right over the town line, and passing through Holliston and saying, oh, what a cute, quaint town. I'd love to live in a place like this, never knowing. And it's still, although the traffic has picked up, the traffic has increased quite a bit since my Waltham days. It still has that look and charm. It has the New England charm. It doesn't look like a Newton or a Waltham. It looks like a Holliston. It looks like a New England town.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that there's nothing that the only thing that has protected it is that nobody has wanted to do something untoward with one of the buildings down there, but that doesn't mean that there's anything in the way stopping them from doing it. So when you get on the planning board, if that's what you're looking for, that's one of the areas I will suggest you look at.
Yeah, no, I love the downtown with all the shops. My wife loves it too.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd like to see that kind of grow. I don't know how long we were here before we discovered that there were shops that were right behind the buildings that were facing on Washington Street. We have to make them more visible in a sense that we attract more people to Holliston to frequent them.
Yeah. Well, I think with the coming of the rail trail, we have seen, that there are more people that are just, walking around downtown, or there were anyway until we hit COVID. And then of course we all kind of evaporated, but I think folks are starting to come back. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, actually, we have run out of questions. Is there anything that you want to add as a closing statement, or anything you think you haven't covered?
Well, I guess I have a closing statement of sorts. I'm Paul Faramelli. I'm running for planning board. I have a simple vision for Holliston: preserve the small town charm, look and feel, foster smart, compatible growth and expansion, balance town revenues with quality of life, protect our residents in the neighborhoods, grow downtown business district and make it a true destination spot, attract and support right-sized businesses and industry, and assure all projects benefit the town as a whole. And I'd have to say that the 555 Hopping Brook doesn't match my vision by any stretch of the imagination. I could go through 1,000 reasons why, but I think people will lose interest, but they'll all agree. But the one thing that I think I bring here is I always look at what I call the unintended consequences. And with Hopping Brook as an example, what we don't know, is this going to cause, we know it's going to impact traffic, but is it going to cause more traffic cut into our neighborhoods? Are our kids at risk? I don't know. But we need to think about those things. It's going to affect property value? Could. And what's it going to do to the environment? We don't know that yet either. So that's why I think you need someone like me who's going to look at these things and try to come up with common sense solutions that work for the town. So I'm asking everyone to give me a vote on May 25th. I'm Paul Faramelli, running for planning board. Thank you. And thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. Nice job. Thank you. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. We will get to putting these on the air ASAP. So thank you, Paul, and everyone. Thank you. Good night.